to diversify. And by that, I mean, if you play an instrument right now, keep playing that instrument. If you juggle, keep juggling. Do as many things as you can to make your uh, little fanny pack of talents packed with stuff. If you don't dance, start taking dance, just so you're not afraid when you go to a dance call. Act, sing, say yes, do it all. That's what I would say.
Thank you.
Sorry, let me see. There's chat. Sarah, that you just went. Naya?
Hi. I wanted to know, when did you know that you wanted to pursue a career in theater?
I was born June 18th, 1978, and I knew probably that day. No, to be totally honest, I grew up in a really small town in Southern Illinois, kind of by St. Louis, Missouri. And my mom would take me to see shows at the St. Louis Muni, which is this huge outdoor musical theater in St. Louis. And so I grew up going to see those shows. So it was either when I saw one of those shows, or truth be told, it was probably when I saw my siblings in a high school production of Hello Dolly. And I was like, what is this? I want to do this. So that's when I knew. And then I just did Hello Dolly on Broadway. So it kind of came crazily full circle.
Yeah. Sarah Powell. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
My question is, what was your favorite number to perform in the show? Do you have a favorite number?
That's a really good question. I had like favorite moments.
Yeah.
I loved the first time we sang. I loved the first time the like theater kind of opened and we were singing Black Death. To see the audience's response, how they reacted as we were singing that song. I loved doing Omelette every single night. It was a difficult number to do because my queen dress weighed about 20 pounds and the wig weighed 7 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And I was in high heels tap dancing.
Yeah.
So it was a difficult number to do, but what I really loved about it was Christian Borle, because he played the king and I played the queen. And when the chefs would be downstage doing all of their stuff, we would be upstage at the banquet table and we improv'd together every night. And it was so much fun. We would laugh so much up there. We had kind of free reign to do whatever we wanted up at that banquet table as the king and queen. And it never got old, and I never got bored with it. And I got very excited for that part of the evening every night.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then the other part I loved doing was the Act 1 finale, Bottom's Gonna Be on Top.
Oh yeah.
I loved, there was a part when the whole ensemble came in and Brian Darcy James and Rob McClure after him were in the middle on like a box, and we did this tap step in a circle around them.
Yeah.
And I loved it because both of them would clock all of us. We would look at each other, and it was one of those great moments in an ensemble where the energy just feeds each other and it just sinks it into the act into like a great joyful end. And I loved that.
Yeah, it was a good number.
Yeah. Victoria. You're muted.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Live from Victoria's car. Victoria! Yay!
My question is kind of similar to the last one, but in like 2016, my class went to see the play, and beforehand we got like sort of like a little dance lesson on like the intro one, and I remember you being one of the people who was like part of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, my question was like kind of which part of the opening number is like your favorite part?
Oh, hands down, I loved, because it started off so like madrigal and Renaissance, I mean obviously Renaissance, but I loved the minute the music changed into that bop, 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 and the audience would be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this is what I was in for. Like prior to that, it just seemed like it was going to be this old-fashioned musical. And then the minute the music switched, I loved that moment. And I had a rubber chicken. I got to dance with a rubber chicken the whole number. I mean, what's better than that? Come on.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Mackenzie.
Hi. I just wanted to know if you could play any other role in Something Rotten, what would you play?
Ooh. I think I actually think I'm so wrong for it, but I think it would be kind of fun to play Nigel. There's something so like endearing and quirky and nerdy about him that I think would be really fun. Good question. Yeah, I think Nigel.
And Daisy.
Which on a quick fun Something Rotten fun fact, the names Nigel and Nick were originally flipped. So when we first started working on the musical, Nick was Nigel and Nigel was Nick. And then they ultimately thought Nick was a stronger name for the more straight man and Nigel was a more quirky name, so they switched them.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Daisy.
Hi. So if it might not be relevant, but if you've done any like Shakespeare since rehearsing it or reading it through, how has doing Something Rotten affected your performance, like hearing them all the time and like your view of Shakespeare?
I haven't done any. I mean, right after Something Rotten, I went straight into Hello Dolly. And then after Hello Dolly, I did some regional stuff and a lot of readings. And then I was doing Mrs. Doubtfire when the lockdown happened. So I have had to coach it. I do a lot of online coaching through a great company called Broadway Collective, which if anybody's interested, there's a link in my Instagram page, but they do terrific online coaching, and I coach through that, and I have to coach Shakespeare through that. And so I will say I do find myself more so trying to keep my laughter down to myself and trying to coach it for real rather than what we would do in Something Rotten, which was to be foolish.
I mean, I have a question.
Yeah.
So you were in the process, you were 4 previews into Mrs. Doubtfire before you got shut down, if I'm correct. So how did you hear the news? Where were you? What was your story with that? And I mean, what was your reaction, thoughts before everybody thought it would only last through May?
Yeah, so we had actually done 3 previews so far. We had the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday afternoon. We were in rehearsal because if you don't know, when you're opening a Broadway show, that preview period is extremely difficult. You're in rehearsals from 12 to 5. Then you usually have a break from 5 to 6:30, a dinner break, and then you're back at 6:30 for a half-hour call, 7 o'clock show, back the next day, doing it all over again. So we were in the thick of it. In fact, that day, we were making a major change in a production number, finding out the news that another production number was going to have a major change the following week. And Jen Gambatese, who plays Miranda, the mom, they were doing a lot of work on her number. So by the time we showed up to rehearsal, we kind of knew things were not good that day. Even a couple days before, we knew it was not good. So I had that day I actually walked from my apartment we're going to close soon.
Oh, no.
Anyway, so we were in rehearsal and we found out, and yeah.
All right.
Eli, I think you're muted again.
I hope everyone had fun in their first room. This is going to take about 10 seconds. Matthew, okay, awesome.
Hi, everyone.
All right, let's pick it up where we left off. Who has a second question? Go ahead. Oh, Nakama. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Hi. What made you want to like do theater for a living?
Hey, Karma. Yeah, great question. I actually was just saying the same in the breakout room, so this is kind of a nice segue between. So yeah, I think what it was, I was kind of thrust into it when I was a kid. A little boy wanted to go to dance class, and he wouldn't go on his own. So my sister was already a dancer, so my mum kind of brought me along for the ride, as it were, one day. And then he never came back the next week, and I kept going. So it really was as simple as that. And I kind of obviously never looked back. It was just something that I did every single evening of the week. I did Monday through Friday. It was ballet or jazz, tap, whatever. And then even Saturdays. And then when I was really young, I went to the Royal Ballet School of London. And so that kind of thrust me into a different area, which is very cool. I got to be on stage with some really cool names in London. And then, it just made sense. When I was at school, at my normal high school, there was nothing really that took my fancy with, science or maths or anything like that. It was always going to be music or theater for me. So I went to college for musical theater, and the rest is history, as it were.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I mean, don't be afraid to ask a repeated question, because everybody has different answers to all the questions.
Absolutely.
Sarah B.
Here's a repetitive question that I just asked. What are some tips to be on Broadway in the future, hopefully?
Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna say, to thine own self be true, as we know, right? Let me embellish on that though, because that sounds a little pitchy and cliche. But seriously, the reason that I kind of projected my career when I moved to the US was that I had the revelation very quickly that I was a British person in the US. And what it was about me that separated me from other people was that I have a very different accent. My isms are very different from the New York way and things like that. And at the start was a little bit, I was kind of in my shell about it, because I was like, oh, I'm very different here. And then I was like, you know what, I should use this to my advantage. So whatever it is about you that differentiates you from someone else, that is where you should go. If you know your strength, go with that first. It's wonderful to step outside of your comfort zone, absolutely, and should, have other things in your trade. You should be able to do accents, dialects, different dance styles and things like that. Always be practicing new things and trying to better yourself. But definitely lead with your strength, because that's, as you could tell, as Shakespeare for me, I was like, oh, great, British, let's go. Even Christian Borle, not British, but drove that kind of feel. And it just felt a little easier for me to do that role, just because I had, a history. I had a history with the character. I just, grew up with Shakespeare, the language and everything like that. It just, I don't know, something about it felt organic, and therefore just a little bit easier for me to perform. It didn't really feel too hard, if that makes sense. The vocals, yes, that's tough. But everything else just kind of just felt right. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Naya?
This is kind of straightforward, but what was it like playing Shakespeare?
Cool. All right. Thanks, Naya. It was amazing, I must say. It's in all sense of the word, at the first number, you're walking out there and the audience doesn't even see your face. And that's something really kind of coy and cool about that. But at the same time, as an actor, you want to see the audience, right? So it's kind of cheeky that you don't see them to start off with. And so the secret with them is still the secret with you. You're not making that relationship to start off with. So it's kind of cool that you hold that back until willpower. And then you're actually meeting everybody for the first time. So, something about that tension of the not knowing was always very, very fun. And then you're in it, right? It's almost like you're at a concert and everyone's there for you, which is not my life at all. But it was certainly something that was really fun. And we just had the best cast on tour, just the best people. And to know that everyone's there supporting you and and vice versa. We were just such advocates of each other on that tour, and you need to be, especially for a tour as long as what we did. We went to South Korea. That was the end of our tour. So we went a fair distance, and the number one thing is you have to have a good group of people around you. So ultimately, yes, it's fantastic to feel all those feels on stage, but it's more important, I think, off stage, that you have that good support system.
Love it. I mean, to be fair, Willpower is a concert, but that's just one number in musical. But, Sarah Powell.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
My question is, what was your audition process like for the tour?
Oh, now you're asking me to go back. Okay, so a friend of mine who played Shylock, Peter Serace, he played Lord Clapham and Shylock. I went to see him in Singing in the Rain over in Long Island. And he'd said to me, they're still looking for a Shakespeare, because this was like way past. I guess the original guy that they had decided to take, I think it was Finding Neverland. So it was a process for the casting team to try and find a Shakespeare. And at that time I was kind of diverting to other things, settling down. I've just had my first baby last week. So that I was going to do. Thank you. So I had loads of different things that were kind of going on in my mind, and theater was, it wasn't on the back burner, but it wasn't something I was like in front of my mind at that time. And I said, you know what, I'd love to do that. I'd love to play that role. I just went in for it. I went in and then, read a few sides for Shakespeare. I sang Willpower, of course, but there was a lot of guys there, as there are going to be. There's going to be a lot of people in your auditions, unless, literally you're the right person, and they're only looking for you. So yeah, and then I think there was a little tap call as well, just for the little tap off that he does with Nick Bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got called back, I think it was the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. It was pretty swift, just because they were running out of time. And they had a lot of people to see in a short amount of time before the tour started. And then you have to obviously get costumes made and so on and so forth. So it was over in a flash, but the prep for it was pretty in depth. I had to know Hard to Be the Bard. I had to know Willpower, like back to front. And obviously you guys know Hard to Be the Bard has a lot of words in it. So that was a lot to learn in the show.
Yeah, actually, I saw Something Rotten in Memphis, and I actually met one of the composers after.
Oh, you did? Did you meet Wayne or Carrie? I think it's probably
Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne was a lot of us. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Great. Yeah. Thanks.
Victoria.
Hi. So I have kind of like a this or that question. I guess for like preference, for Willpower and Hard to Be the Bard, of the two of them.
Yeah. I think Willpower. Yeah. Yeah. Hard to Be the Bard's fun in its own right, of course. But yeah, there's nothing like turning around to see a full packed house of people, and your castmates like screaming and being, just having a big old party. And that's what it was. So I think, of the two, definitely Willpower.
I was not happy when I was cut from that number. In my production, I was the messenger, so I gave the invitation to Nigel and Portia, and they're like, you can't be in Willpower. And I'm like, that's really sad. Mackenzie?
Hi. If you could play any other role in Something Rotten, what would you play?
Oh, that's a good question. Very good question. I think Robin. Robin's a really fun character when he plays the Queen and everything. It's definitely not me at all, and I think that's why I'd like to do it, because it'll be a challenge. Yeah, and myself and Robert, who played Robert Head, he played Robin on tour. He's a fantastic human being. Follow him, look him up. He's hilarious. He's a really great guy. We had a lot of fun, especially during Omelette. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Daisy.
Hi. What were the main differences performing like in the UK and in America with the audiences and stuff?
Hi, Daisy. Thanks for your question. And fellow UK, love it. A little more reserved. That's all I could say. But then also in the US, it depends on where you are. You could be down south, and then you could be up near, the closer kind of you get to New York, people get a lot rowdier because they understand theater just a little bit, not better, just they're more used to it, right? In the surrounding areas. But definitely the further we got, like Alabama, that kind of area, it was a lot more reserved, which I feel like is what I grew up with in the UK. It's very much applaud. We're not like stand and scream kind of people. And definitely with Something Rotten, you need that. At the end of Omelette, we had standing appraisals pretty much every night for that number because it's just hilarious. And I think people just love the revamp, and we just keep going and going and going. And that's what's that's what Something Rotten should be. It should be just come and laugh and have fun and don't take anything too seriously. Whatever is bothering you on the outside, leave it at the door, come in and just enjoy your time with us. But yeah, I think definitely just a little bit more reserved, I would say, for the UK. Yeah.
Awesome. We have time for one or two more. I haven't been paying attention to the chat because I've been going in the order of the first round. Does somebody want to just unmute and we'll go from there?
Yeah, hit me.
I'll go. What was your favorite part of the show to perform, or do you have a favorite number in the show?
Yeah, I think Omelette from start to finish, just because it's just fun. All the isms, all the different references that we throw in there, and just because the audience are having real good fun at that time. It's the the interval, people probably had a drink or two, and just everyone's a little bit looser, right? You're not taking anything too seriously. The cast has warmed up, and we kind of felt the audience to see who's reacting well to it. And yeah, we just as much as we take it seriously, of course, because it's our job, we just had so much fun with that number, and it just builds, right? It just gets more hilarious all the way through. So yeah, I'd say Omelette was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's go to Sarah B. Yeah. Do you have no? Okay. Yeah. Do you have any questions? I thought I saw. Mackenzie, go ahead.
What was like your initial reaction to reading the script for the first time?
Oh, well, I'd seen the show on Broadway, so I kind of knew what was coming, but having that table read with everyone and seeing how talented our cast was, it was fantastic. It was like, everything you could honestly wish for. And they were like that from day one all the way through to the end. We were just a great tight-knit cast, and everyone was like the best of friends. We just had the best time. And like I said, we were on that for a very long time. So, it can get like a very small space, but you just have to have an open mind. But it's that kind of show where you're always having fun, and you just have to remember that you're doing the job, but also to enjoy it. And that's what we did. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking with us. Have fun in room 3. I will see everyone back in.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions.
Okay. All right. Let me figure this out. Who have I not had? Zach. Okay. Awesome. Everybody have fun in your final room. I will see you guys back in about 15 minutes.
How's it going?
Awesome. Perfect. Is this all we had? I guess this is it. Or maybe some people left. All right. Who wants to ask go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering what the audition process was like.
Amazing. So I booked this show while I was in college, actually. And you guys may or may not know, sometimes with musical theater schools, they have some sort of showcase or workshops of sorts. And my school did something like that. We brought in different agents and just people from the industry. And one of those people was Steve Bebout, who was the associate on Broadway. And then he also staged our production of the show. And from there, he saw me at my school and invited me to, and a couple of my other classmates, to audition for it in New York City. I went in, so I was living in Virginia at the time going to school. So I was having to drive like 5 hours up to New York for these auditions. But luckily I had a great support system at school who allowed me to miss class and audition for it. And I think I went up about 3 times for different callbacks and things. And then I got a phone call. So it was great.
Awesome. Sarah B.
Sorry, I keep asking the same question 3 times.
It's
but
okay.
what are some tips for anyone who wants to be on Broadway in the future?
Depending on your ages, I guess, but I would say definitely look into musical theater school if that's something that interests you. Up until then, I went to Shenandoah Conservatory for anyone looking for a great school. I love my school very much. But I would say just keep honing in on your craft and get as many different aspects of theater that you can. Just go to singing lessons, try to dancing lessons. If money is an aspect, there are so many, especially during COVID, there are so many like digital things that you can do, people offering dance classes and things like that. So I feel like just honing in on your craft and then just taking the leap to come to New York City and audition for it. I was telling the other rooms, it's really such a small world once you get into it. So anyone who tells you that it's out of the realm of possibility is not in the world. So I'm telling you from the world that it's possible. So I encourage you to keep working hard and keep your eye on the prize.
I'm gonna ask my question, but personally, when do you think it is time to look at colleges or looking at where you want to go? Because I'm looking at musical theater. I know Maya, who couldn't be here today, she's also, everybody is. So when do you think that time is?
Oh gosh, I feel like I didn't probably start looking at schools until my like junior year, which I feel like is a kind of late, possibly. But I know that there's a lot of college programs that do like junior moving into senior year. So I know a lot of my friends did like a summer at Carnegie Mellon. But I feel like, I guess it's never too early to look into things and start looking for what you're interested in. So I feel like whenever, I guess.
All right. I'm gonna ask one more, and then I'm gonna leave it up. What was it like being an understudy? For those who don't know, he understudied for Shakespeare. Yeah. So I know it's a very big and broad question, but do you have like a general answer?
Sure. So there was actually 2 understudies for Shakespeare on our production, and I actually never got to go on.
No.
I know, it was awful, but it's fine. I got the experience. It was great. But it was definitely such a, first of all, it was nerve-wracking as someone who was still in college to know that they were going to be understudying a principal role in a touring Broadway show. So that was nuts. Especially Shakespeare, he owns the whole stage. He is like the rock star. So it's nerve-wracking, but it was challenging, and I loved being able to dive into the text and dialect work and everything like that. And there's one part in Hard to Be the Bard that they like show a portrait of Shakespeare, and I got to have a portrait like printed of me, which was pretty cool. That never got to be used, so that was fun.
Did you at least get to take it home after?
Oh, So our production actually ended in South Korea, and the company in South Korea bought all of our props because they have since remounted the show in full Korean, and so they have a portrait of me as Shakespeare somewhere. Sad. Plus, I didn't want to bring that portrait with me on the plane home. That would have just been embarrassing.
Daisy, go ahead.
Hi. How did you pick what drama school musical theatre thing to do? Because it seems like the only ones I've heard of are the massive ones, which probably don't have any chance of getting into.
First of all, your accent's amazing.
Thanks.
Second, it's hard. It's really hard, honestly, because of course you see all of these big musical theater schools but guys, I feel like education is so much more about owning your education. No matter where you go, your education is going to be what you make out of it. So no matter if you're in what the industry might refer to as a not so good musical theater school, you have the power within you to just get what you want out of it. And I feel like my school Shenandoah was not one of my top schools. It was not, but I got so much out of it because I knew that I needed to refine myself. So I know that it's so hard and it's so much easier said than done. Don't focus so much on the school's name, but focus on what you think is going to be the best fit for you. And also, as someone who has worked with someone from some of these big schools, it's not always what they're cracked up to be. So I'm like, you have this big name under your belt and not a lot to show for it. So I feel like just own what you have to bring to the table and own your education.
Right. Naya, did you have another question?
How did you know that you wanted to pursue a career in musical theater?
Well, for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I've been doing theater since I was in like the 3rd grade. So it was kind of everything for me. Even in my like 5th grade yearbook, they were like, at the back of the yearbook, they were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it was like, an actor. So it was kind of all I knew and all I was good at. And I knew I did not want to be counting or mixing potions or something. So it was just the way to go. Luckily, I had supportive parents and teachers that helped me along that way.
Sarah B.
Hi, I have another question. So, how do you get so say there's like a new Broadway or tour production that's coming out. How do you get the call for it? Like, how do you know it's coming?
The auditions, you mean?
That always confuses me, yes.
Well, a lot of people have agents. I don't actually have an agent, but they can sometimes get them appointments for these upcoming productions. You can also look out for them on backstage.com or playbill.com. That's where they list a lot of those auditions. You'll see like all kinds of different, there'll be like principal call, there'll be chorus call, dance calls, and that's usually where I find the things that I go in for. And then you just show up and do your thing.
Yeah, so I mean, what he's talking about, if you go to playbill.com, on the top banner, there's a thing called jobs, and you can filter out where you are and age range and like what you want to do, act, stage manage, etc. So you can just look at that. We have time for a couple more. Mackenzie?
Hi. I just wanted to know what your favorite number to perform was.
Oh gosh. I was telling the other groups this show is so special for me because I got to do everything that I love about myself and about theater. I got I got to do like a big musical number, you know, and just like be happy and tap dancey and just be everything that I love about musical theater. And then I got to also be in my leather costume, you know, and be like a sexy backup boy for Shakespeare. But I feel like my favorite was probably to do musical with all of those Broadway Easter eggs and fun costumes, and just got to be smiley and show off my smile. Thanks, Dr. Wendell.
Sarah Powell.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is, do you have any onstage mishaps or any embarrassing, like funny onstage stories?
Well, I don't know. Did you ask this question to Matthew Baker?
No.
No.
Because I was telling the other group that this was one of the worst, was that one time we were in one of the scenes where we're having like a rehearsal for Omelette, you know, the musical Omelette. And Matthew was supposed to come on and interrupt us. And we're all like in this argument. Oh my God, am I gonna run out of time? We're all in this argument and he's supposed to come on and break us up. And so we all are arguing and then we look, but he's not there. And so we were all just kind of kept arguing. And then the guy playing Nick Bottom was like, all right, let's keep rehearsing. And then this improv went on for what felt like 5 minutes, which it was probably in reality only probably about 45 seconds, but it felt like so long. And when we came off, we were like, Matthew, where were you? And he was like, yeah, you guys really got off script. Like, it was crazy. I was like, you missed your cue. That was probably the craziest.
I love when that happens. Although you have to be pretty good at improv. All right, that was a great way to end us off. Thank you all for being here. We're gonna go back to the main room, take a picture, all that. Close all rooms.
Thank you guys so much. You're wonderful.